And we are live once again. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Prince Magnum channel where hot rodding and romance do coexist. I'm your host, Prince Magnum. Welcome to another Sober Talk Live. Oh man, what a doozy we got tonight. Um, Let me get you all caught up to speed. We're going to talk about my AA sponsor, none other than Soberman. Um, Soberman is the guy. What's going on, Chairman? Welcome to the live. I think you're the first. I think you are. Don't quote me. I know you're the first one to put something in chat. Hey, what's going on, Gamer? Okay. One of you is first. I can't tell. It's pretty doggone close. Regardless, it is good to see everyone. Think different. Welcome to the live. Good to see you all. Good to see you all. We got a big live stream tonight. Figure I would talk about none other than my AA sponsor. But before we all get underway and start sharing those old stories and everything like that, figured we'd just go ahead and chit chat for a minute. I wanted to talk about before we get underway. Every now and again, I got to get something off my chest, and uh, basically, in a nutshell, a friend of ours within the Maverick Nation has had somebody kind of. Oh, be right back. Okay, brother. Um, you know, he's going through some things where this guy is kind of harassing him, and it's actually someone that he knows. One of our own, who's going through this, runs a pretty successful channel. Um, Congratulations, Jesse. Welcome to the live stream. It's good to see you. Good to see you. Wow, so many people already poking in. Uh, Real quick, I got to get this out. I got to get this out. Basically, it's one of our own members of the Maverick Nation who's basically being harassed by someone that he's supposed to be friends with. And this dude is just busting his chops. And I mean, it's so upsetting. I mean, just to see him go through, see one of our own go through this. I've never even talked to this person, and I mean, I sat through one of, well, I don't know. It's one of those things that, I mean, I listened to the other guy, he did a live stream about 3 weeks ago, and I listened to a few minutes of it, and I really couldn't listen to any more of it because this guy, him and his wife, were basically bullying one of our own, and I'm like, more or less, they were trying to make it sound like a morality thing. Well, I don't know if it's going to be like that, but it's one of those things that I think if I had this person kind of off on their own and basically said a few things, I think honestly they might retract some of what they said. I mean, they are entitled to their opinion, and what it is, and I'm not going to give their name because they're not here to say whether or not they want me to kind of put this out there for them, but I just got to get this out. But basically, they kind of clip some music, and then they do a remix to it, and then they post it. And I mean, German, it's kind of like that, and and I mean, I understand how the fair use thing works. So what they're doing is perfectly legal and it's legit. Along with that, there's also those things that when dealing with when dealing with um, you know, content and things like that, all they're doing is a remix, and there are people out there that need those remixes. Say you're at like a dance club, and and you're say live streaming it to say, even YouTube, live streaming to YouTube, Facebook, or something like that. Those remixes are really nice because if you don't have those remixes and you're live streaming and that sort of thing, say like some sort of dance party or something like that, what you run into is the copyright thing. So those remixes are really nice. They're really fantastic. And basically, this other person is kind of, this other person who as picking on one of our own, um, in a nutshell, um, is not taking that into consideration. So honestly, I mean, I honestly feel that it's kind of unjust. I mean, they are still entitled to their opinion, but basically, it's cyberbullying regardless of what they say. And these are supposed to be Christian types, so that should tell you already where I stand on it. They even went so far into the comments and was putting, kind of nasty, even mentioning the commandments. And I hate to be the one. I mean, I learned, since I switched to be a neo pagan, I've learned a lot more about those Ten Commandments than most Christians would imagine. Like the ones they claim are the Ten Commandments are not. Those were the ones that Moses broke. He went back up and got a different set. Okay. And the ones that he came down with read totally different than what you think. The first three are kind of synapses of the original three, but it's not, no. They need to go back. They can't. So these Christians can't Old Testament. They can't Old Testament because if they, don't even bring up the Ten Commandments, because I actually know what they are. Like number 10 is actually something about boiling, not boiling, a baby goat in its mother's milk, because that's just creepy. That's not a joke. You can read that yourself. It is in Exodus. So I was really upset, and I just had to get that out. I mean, I was just so just. But until this person asks for our help, thank you. Someone who actually knows. There's someone who actually can Old Testament. Which well, that's a whole nother subject. But I mean, it was so upsetting that basically this person is, bashing, um, basically bashing a friend of ours, and it's just so upsetting. I was so angry, and it was just kind of one of those and militant Christians, and their channel. Hey, what's going on, Queen? A friend of ours is basically catching some heat from someone that's supposed to be a friend of his. They live pretty much in the same town. They know each other, and I won't out the person that's being bullied. And he is one of our own. He is one of our own, and I was just so upset. I had to talk about it. I had to get it out until this one person gives me permission to talk about it. I'm not able to. Yeah, I seen him picking. I seen him picking. That's already in. Wouldn't have him any other way. But I was just so angry, just so angry. I just had to talk about it because to see a friend take that kind of abuse, it breaks my heart, because this person's been nothing but not. Now I will say right now, if this was any of you guys, I mean, I would be just as upset, because I'm just that type of person. It's like, why are you picking on my friend? This friend is nothing but they've been nothing but sweet to me. They've been supportive and kind, and you all have been, and I mean, it just so upset me. It broke my heart that that this person until I get permission to talk about it, I won't. That's just you guys know how I am about that. Basically, it's like I won't fight somebody's battle until I get permission to fight somebody's battle. And it's one of those deals that, I mean, in all honesty, I mean, it's just you know, um, it upset me. I had to talk about it, and you guys can understand that. I had to get that out. And as an old timer in AA where I live, will say there's a whole lot more room out here than there is in here. So share that with us. Get that pain out. And even though it's not my pain, it's the pain of seeing someone go through some bad stuff. And so I feel better. I feel better. Thank you all for listening to me. But then the main crux of today's stream is going to be all about talking about my sponsor, Soberman. And Soberman is quite possibly I mean, I will say it like this: the Prince Magnum channel owes a great deal to Soberman. Soberman has taught me a great deal of a lot of things. I mean, just um, he's one of those people that I still look up to. He's one of those people that I genuinely admire. He's went through a lot of stuff. Oh my God, that man has went through so much stuff. Before I met him, he had actually had a stroke. When Oh, well, Chairman, I've been meaning to holler more at you. I've been How many times I got to say it here on YouTube or any other video platform, um, and I've said this before, and I probably should do a whole video kind of talking about a friend that a guy I used to work with, and he knows the door to friendship is still open, but I just won't work with him ever again, ever, because he's kind of a douchebag. Um, and I don't like to mention this guy. I won't even mention his channel because I don't want anyone to go over there. But there's a particular guy who was actually ahead of me in the fan base. He was actually 100 ahead of me, and he stood to actually build a quality comedy channel, a lot of satire. And it was really good stuff that he initially started doing. He even did some poetry, real good stuff. Was very creative at times. At times, but he was also lazy, and he was sexist, and he's a narcissist. He's also a bigot, militant Christian himself. And I rank militant Christians right there up there with militant Muslims. They're one and the same in my opinion. And this guy was just he got me into hot water, and I all I had done was a couple of videos with him. I did a couple of crossover videos with him, and this dude was just I mean, straight up, nothing but problems. So I know where you're coming from, and I had to distance myself from him, and I have said it numerous times since him, before while working with this guy, and since. If you are a content creator, a live streamer on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Mixer, Periscope, I don't care, even TikTok, you can go from hero to villain in a split second. I mean, it's that quick. You can lose it all. That is not a joke. You could blow it all in a blink, just a snap of a finger. You can lose it all, and your channel goes to pot in just a blink of an eye. And this particular person did just that. The last I looked in on him, which was probably about 7 months ago, he was sitting at 52. Thank you, mechanic. I appreciate that. Thank you, brother. Appreciate that. Um, you mean the world to me, and I appreciate you popping in and showing some love. But this person went from hero to villain just in a blink of an eye, and he actually had a lot more supporters from the UK than than I even do right now. He pretty well had a good deal of supporters. He was getting ready to cross 500, and you guys heard me mention him. He actually, it was not in a live stream, but he was doing a satire video. And in this satire video, he was wearing this stupid looking unicorn head. Bob the Unicorn was his Nubian. He was doing this stupid bit, and it was kind of funny in a way, called Bob the Unicorn. And he was doing it with his cat that was in his lap. And the first mistake is his cat Lucy, is still to this day very, everything that happens to that cat happens on her terms and her terms only. Are you sitting at okay, okay. Yeah, that's sometimes a struggle. That's sometimes you got to be real. So I mean, I get it, but what ends up happening is he does this bit, and he does it with his cat, and his cat does not like this. And I mean, this cat was not having none of it, and took a swipe at him, okay, at him wearing this stupid unicorn mask. and it basically like a big unicorn head, and took a swipe at him, and the cat wasn't having any of it. So what did he do? He smacked the cat a couple of times on camera. Now, bear in mind, this is not a live stream. Um, and how many times have we heard it? Don't work with animals and don't work with children when you're doing stuff like this, because it's even in Hollywood they say that. So he does this bit, and the cat snaps and takes a swipe at him, and then he basically bops the cat a couple of times, and a lot of people got really upset. You do not mess with cats on the internet, period. Okay. That's just a big no-no. So that was his first mistake. His second mistake, he did it with a cat that is very particular to begin with, and probably shouldn't have even considered doing that, because anything that you do on camera with an animal, you are subject to what the animal is going to do. And this cat was not having it. So he basically, and the third thing he did is he did it on camera. And I know his, yep. And he did this, of all the things, he did it, and he could have edited this out or just not done the take. Okay. He could have just not done it. Or he could have edited that whole thing out. So when the video goes up, people immediately get upset. There's actually a member of the Maverick Nation that's seen it and was like, dude, you need to distance yourself from this guy. And I'm like, what happened? And they sent me a link, and I went over and took one look. I'm like, oh, dude, you went and screwed up, man. You went and screwed up. So I'm like, dude, I can't work with you now. I mean, working with you is like, channel suicide right now. And he's like, oh, I said, I mean, I get it. You made a mistake, okay? You made a big boo-boo, but I can't work with you now, because, I mean, you're putting me out there now. And I had to kind of tell everyone, hey, what he does is his own business. I'm loosely associated, which that was the truth. I was always loosely associated, but I would never actually worked with him. And then on top of that, him and I had serious beef because he was bashing, and I know some people laugh when I say it like this. He was bashing the homosexual community. Um, what's going on, Blucky? Good to see you. He was bashing the homosexual community, and I can't go with that, okay? And I will say that I have many a friend that are, they're bisexual, or they're, straight up homosexual. And I know some of you might laugh at how I say that, but I don't feel it's right to use the word gay, because that's not what it means, okay? Gay actually means something totally different, and you cannot change it. And it doesn't work that way. No, call it what it is. Let's be kind to these people. Give them the proper term, and and so it's out of respect that I won't call gay or lesbian or anything like that. It's out of respect, because I feel that gay is using the wrong term, because gay actually does mean happy. And you can actually, hear other people in other parts of the world that speak English, and when they say gay, that what they're actually saying, and we know. And then I feel the word lesbian is a derogatory term. I haven't done anything else yet. Haven't done anything else. So I that's why I say it that way. And when I was actually talking about that, how I called this person out in a live stream over that. I actually I had some people kind of giggling. I'm like, there is nothing funny about that. It is the proper term, and I know now we're trying to add LBGT community. Come on, you know, right? And I mean, it is what it is. So out of respect, it's out of respect. And I know we're getting a little bit, but so that's why I won't work with that guy, because he was bashing, and I actually had a sponsee that was he was bisexual, but he leaned a little bit more toward the straight homosexual side. He just leaned a little bit, and he ended up dying of an overdose. And I'm like, dude, uncool, uncool. And I'm like, so I'm not, so I wanted nothing to do with him. And they shut his channel down, but he restarted it. But remember, he was almost at 500, but now he's at 54 the last I looked. And I mean, so that's why I don't work with him. I'm totally off topic. But basically, in a nutshell, that's a fine example of someone that made the mistake of, you can go from zero to here, from hero to here on YouTube or any other platform in just a blink of an eye. So do be careful. Do be careful when you're doing your channels. So be careful out there. So there we have it. Straight up. I will say, if he ever wants to mend those fences. How am I today? Thank you, Queen, for asking. I woke up this morning and I had a miracle happen to me. I found it not necessary to take a drink. And any day that happens, that is truly a miracle. What's going on, Viable? Welcome to the live stream. We're going to talk about my sponsor today. I got a little off topic there for a second. Someone asked the right question and, that sort of thing. So it all started with me having to get some stuff out that was kind of hurting and that sort of thing. I had to, kind of, get some stuff out that was kind of hurting a little bit in the beginning of the stream. And now I am ready to talk about my sponsor. Why did they? Because he hit a cat on camera. He basically beat his cat on camera. What's going on, Harold? I was over in your premiere. Loved it, man. Loved it. Love that remix stuff you're doing these days. I love the remix stuff you're doing. I really enjoy it. And what's that, Viable? What is that? But Harold, I was over there. I dropped you a like. I was starting to set up for my live, so I didn't get a chance to drop, to say anything in chat. But I dropped you a like and I listened to a couple of minutes of what you had going on. It was good stuff. Good stuff. Made 3 videos. So it is so good to see you all here. We got an amazing live stream to talk about, and that is about my sponsor, Soberman. And when I talk about Soberman, he's an amazing guy. He going back in my AA history, Soberman is one of the first people I met at an AA meeting. He's also at my first AA meeting, I asked him to sponsor me. On top of that, not only did Viable, you are welcome to drop the link in the chat. You got that wrench? Drop that link so we can get over there and get you there, okay? Really? Something may be up, but drop us the link. Yeah, totally. We'll get you there. We'll help you out, buddy. You're one of us. You got that. You're one of the Maverick Nation, and that bit. We will help you get there. We will help you get there, brother. Drop that link to your YouTube so we can get over there and get you some support. Okay, you know it. And y'all know if you got a wrench, drop the link to your channel anytime through the live, and we will, we'll get over there and see you. Okay. We will get over there as quickly as possible. Yeah, Harold's doing these really awesome mixes to, and I think I'm about to end up accidentally giving away what I was talking about earlier in the stream. But Harold's been doing these really awesome. There you go. Thank you. He's been doing these really awesome music video, music video remixes. Hi, honey. He's been doing these really awesome music video mixes, and I really think that these will work out wonderfully when in like dance clubs where they're live streaming or something like that to any platform. I think it's a really good thing, Harold. Um, I won't say no more. Harold, I still want to get with you. I want to do a collab with you because I think that it would be a lot of fun. There you go. There you go. Um, you know, so that's what's up. You guys are awesome. Let's get talking about Soberman. All right. A little background. A little background. Soberman is my original and again current AA sponsor. Okay. Okay, Queen. Hurry back. We'll miss you. He responded. The story basically goes my first AA meeting. Y'all heard the story where I was scared to death and everything, and I almost talked myself out of that meeting. I almost talked myself out. I was scared to death to go in. And I met Soberman at my first AA meeting, and his enthusiasm is what attracted me to his type of sobriety. And Soberman is one of the people that I genuinely still look up to. And there you go. Make sure, and if you got Twitch, Mixer, Periscope, or anything, drop that in there too. Don't be afraid to. That's how we find you. Hmm. That's awesome. But anyhow, Soberman, that is the amazing Ian right there. I'm telling you, there's not enough people like Ian here on YouTube. One of the finest people I know. We're gonna have to talk about some. I'm gonna have to do a live stream talking about some of y'all in a good way. You guys are awesome. Um, um, who do you blame? Choices Games. Choices Games is who you can blame for that. We met in one of his live streams last year. Yep, that's whose fault it was. Choice. It was Choice who you. That's where we met. That's where we met. Uh, oh yeah, he's a great guy. Great guy. Um, I'll tell you, I actually did a special video for him, thanking him for all of his help. Most people don't know this. Um, the exhaust manifold that's on Project Spirit right now, Choice technically bought that. He technically bought that for me. Most people don't know that. He actually, I mentioned that in a video I did specifically for him, and it was a Legend of Zelda video, um, and I actually purposely put a particular song in there um, to kind of make it that I knew I would never be able to monetize that video, but I didn't care because he always said that he really liked the way that I did things, that he liked my creativity and everything like that, my editing skills and stuff like that. And I wanted to do something special for him, and I knew I would never be able to monetize that video, but I did it. What does Sober Man look like? Um, he's kind of hard to describe, but basically he's very tall. He's actually about 6'2", and kind of a stocky build, and goatee. He's starting to go gray, starting to go seriously gray. Um, and we have a lot of similarities. Tell you all, going back in when we first met. Um, Soberman was the one who really introduced me to the big book. Now, in AA meetings, you'll hear some people call you a big book thumper. Okay, okay, Viable. I appreciate you sticking with us. Sticking with us. I appreciate that, man. But Soberman, when he introduced me to the big book, that was my true introduction to Alcoholics Anonymous. I'd already been to two meetings by that time, but that was my absolute big time introduction to Alcoholics Anonymous. Little known fact, when you've all heard the story about Tanya and I don't want to go into that, I'll start crying again. But when you all heard that story, Soberman actually came to her wake. Soberman actually came to her her wake and kind of sat with me because I was a mess. I was a mess, and Soberman was right there with me. So we have a lot of stories together. But long before I met Soberman, back when he was like 10 years old, he was on the playground playing tetherball. And for those who know what tetherball is, basically you got this long pole that comes up out of the ground. It's got a ball that's hooked to the top of it from a chain. When he hit the tetherball, came around, hit him in the back of the head, and basically caused him to have a stroke as a kid. And it messed up his ankle and everything else. He went through a lot of stuff over it for many, many, many years. And actually, in a lot of ways, I look up to him like a father. I look up to him like a dad. Um, he's the guy I look up to. I mean, and he, like I said, he's an amazing person to even know. So after that stroke, years later, I think it was something like 5 years before I met Soberman, give or take, maybe less than that. He ended up having another stroke, and it was so bad that the pain in that same ankle that he had severe problems with, um, he actually had to get something that basically it supplies him with a non-narcotic painkiller directly to his spine, inserted into his abdomen about the size of a hockey puck. Um, and in dealing with that, it supplies his, and I think it's something like every 6 months he has to go in and they have to refill that pump with medication. And so that was the thing. And he actually lived in Texas for a while and then moved back to this area. And he hadn't been back super, super long, probably a couple of months when I met him in a meeting. So, yes, very good. Very good, Chairman. I'm impressed. Most people don't know that. Yes, it is Backlithin. And um, so he's dealt with that for years, and actually it was probably around, I think it was about 10 years ago, he actually had another stroke, and he had to slow down. That was actually, he went into retirement for a while. Now he's working again, you know. But Soberman has went through a lot of stuff. You know, and he will tell you, oh wow, wow. So that should give you an idea. When I met Soberman, like I said, it was in a meeting, and he came in with another guy, and he'll tell you to this day. He's every once in a while he'll be in a newcomers meeting, and he'll be talking about how there was this guy that he sponsors. Well, there's this guy that he knows. He was in a meeting, and a guy that he was sponsoring, he brought to the meeting. They went together, and he thought this guy was going to get it. He thought he was going to get it, but then a guy he didn't even know asked him to sponsor him that night, and this guy had long black hair, black nail polish, and wore purple lipstick. My goth days, and that sort of thing. He said he didn't think that guy was going to get it. And he said, but lo and behold, the one guy he thought was going to get it didn't, and the one guy who didn't, who did get it, was the guy that wore the, uh, you know, he just and he laughs about that to this day. He actually laughs about that. How he said, yeah, this guy Prince Magnum. He said, lo and behold, he's the one who gets it. I didn't think he would get it, but here he is 14 years later. Um, in a lot of ways, I would say he is. Now, I will tell you right now, if he was in this live stream right now, he's like, don't you dare put me on a pedestal. Don't put me on that kind of a pedestal. I was a fallen down drunk at one time too. I'm just like anybody else out there who struggles with, who's just trying to hold his head up to the light and to get this thing that we variety in this program that we know is Alcoholics Anonymous. I had to come in falling down drunk, trying to just get this thing. And it was only through the 12 steps and getting a home group and working with a sponsor who has also worked with a sponsor out of the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, and learning those steps was I able to find this thing that we call sobriety. I sound just like him right now. That is exactly how he sounds, not a joke. If his wife was in here right now, Mrs. Soberman, she would be going, oh my God, Prince Magnum, you sound just like him right now. Not a joke. Not a joke. That is exactly how he sounds. That is an actual impression of Soberman right there. If you ever wonder what Soberman sounds like, that's it. That's him. I'm like, oh my God, I just channeled my sponsor in a live stream on YouTube. That is so freaking awesome. Uh, you know, he would be laughing right now, like, oh my God, that is me. Oh my God, Prince Magnum, don't you ever do that again. He would be losing it for real, man. But that is sober, man. So let me tell you guys, one of the when we were working through the steps, um, oh, he's an amazing guy. We had a brief time when I was about 6.5 years sober. Welcome back, Queen. So that was a really good impression of sober man, and I'll tell you all right now, he's an amazing friend, just a good guy, and you know, hands down, bar none, the world needs more people like him, and um, you know, let me tell you all, sober man. Um, we have some funny stories together. We have some real funny stories. The one that at this time I was a member of the Noon Topic group over in Park Hills at the Trinity Lutheran Church, and I was the chairperson that day. And I told Soberman, I said, Soberman, I said, I funny thing, I've got this topic for tomorrow. I said, something tells me I need to do this topic. And he's like, what's the topic? I said, tell a story about something you and your sponsor have done together, or maybe something you and a sponsee have done together. But I said, it's about sponsorship. And he's like, sponsorship. He's like, that's an interesting way of bringing up sponsorship. And he's like, I'm down. I'm down for it. He said, I'm going to be there. He said, I got to be there. I'm curious. I'm curious. He said, have you got a story about us? I said, I do. I do. And he said, okay, don't tell me. I want to be surprised what story you're going to tell. And we go to this, we go to the new topic group, and I open it up and everything, and it was just, an amazing meeting from beginning to end, just boom, 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 and it was just going really good. And we get to the spot where, it's time to bring up the topic, and I said, I said, the topic I have for today, I said, I said, I want you all to, bear with me. I said, this is a topic that I think you all will enjoy. I said, tell me a story about something you and your sponsor have done together, something you guys have done together. Um, well, a different type of chairman. I was a chairman of an AA meeting. I've done that numerous times, done that thousands of times. It's so much fun because if you really do it right in an AA meeting, if you're the speaker of an AA meeting or you're a chairperson of an AA meeting and you do it right, you walk out of there with more, knowing more or having a great deal more added to your sobriety than you did when you walked into the meeting. Thank you, Harold. Appreciate that. So it's one of those things that if you do it right, you'll walk away with so much more. Harold is a good man. Harold's a good man. I want to do a collab with him. So that was kind of, so I told my story, and let me backtrack a little bit. I was probably I was about 3 months sober, and Soberman and his wife were going through some real crazy stuff. I won't give the details of it, but they were having problems, and Soberman, going through the problems that he was going through, he had to get his pump refilled, and he's like, "I'm gonna go." There, unfortunately, no. There will never come a day. I will always need a sponsor. That's the way AA works. I always have, if you will, I need someone to kind of help me stay in the AA Big Book. And a lot of times I end up using the live stream as an excuse also to keep me in the AA Big Book and to keep me honest in my sobriety. But a sponsor is someone that you confide all your dirty little secrets about. So Soberman actually knows more about me than say even my own family, and I must confess, even my own wife. Soberman even knows those nasty little secrets that even my wife doesn't even know, and she understands that. She understands that. Um, and so I will always, that is the way the AA program works. I will always need someone to confide in because as an alcoholic, I am only as sick as my secrets. Okay. If I'm starting to harbor a lot of secrets, it doesn't take long that I get super sick up here. And if I get super sick up here, I start planning, if you will, planning my relapse, because it has all to do with guilt and that sort of thing. It's just kind of goofy like that. So whenever you're talking about alcoholism, everyone talks about that physical compulsion to drink. Well, there's other stuff going on. As an alcoholic, I have a head full of bad wiring, if you will. The biggest problem with my alcoholism doesn't begin with my inability to tell myself, no, don't drink that. It begins with what's going on between my ears. So, thank God I'm an alcoholic because I honestly don't know of any counselor or psychiatrist or psychologist that could deal with me if it wasn't for my problems with alcohol, because honestly I would be Harrison, you ornery cuss. That is everyone in Alcoholics Anonymous, every last person. Um, And the ones that don't do what I'm describing always end up getting drunk, and they sometimes don't make it back. And this is what Soberman has actually taught me. I'm actually putting more kind of layman's terms to it and kind of bringing it down into language because we have a lot of AA jargon. You're welcome to, Harrison, I'm always glad when you're here. So it is a lot. I mean, in AA, we have our own jargon, more or less, but I try not to use a lot of AA jargon in Sober Talk Lives because I can lose people with the AA jargon. But the big problem with alcoholics is what goes on between our ears, and this is all of us. Um, it is not just the compulsion to drink. I mean, let me explain. I have a cup of coffee here and I like my cup of coffee, but if I don't want to drink coffee, I can put it down. But if I start drinking alcohol, I have this physical compulsion that tells me not that I can't stop drinking, if you will. Immediately when I take a drink of alcohol, what happens is immediately a couple of things happen. A couple of things happen. The first thing that happens is immediately, okay, Chairman, I can actually explain that one away. Uh, we'll talk about that in a minute. But basically, what happens to me in a physical sense is when I take that first drink, immediately the first physical thing that happens is my mouth immediately goes dry like that. And I just took a drink of something. It kind of makes sense because alcohol is kind of an irritant, a solvent. So it makes sense that immediately it dries your mouth. But with the alcoholic, immediately our mouth gets super dry. So what's our initial reaction? We take another drink. Now, when that happens, the next thing is we continue to, with the alcoholic, we continue to keep doing that. And the next thing that happens is as we continue to drink, we get drunk. Okay. And as soon as we start feeling that buzz, mentally, we begin to like that buzz and we want more of that buzz because we alcoholics have a hard time living life. We have a really hard time living life. It is kind of hard to explain, but we have an extremely hard time living life. Um, if you will, I am the biggest contradiction in the world, okay? When it comes to before I got sober. The contradiction that I suffered back then was I wanted everyone to pay attention to me, but I wanted everyone to leave me alone. So it was kind of weird how I worked that in. When I say that I wanted everyone to pay attention to me, I wanted everyone to think that it was amazing and spectacular and that sort of thing. But I wanted them to look at me in that sort of light. But at the same time, I wanted them to be afraid of me so they would leave me alone. Um, so that's kind of how that worked. We just, it was weird like that, you know. Um, so I was a big contradiction, and I also was, if I did anything nice, I was looking for something in the end. I never did anything out of genuine kindness back then. I was a sick person. I mean, it wasn't that I was, I wanted to be mean. I was always just looking for how I can get further ahead because I wanted more of everything for myself. I wanted doubles of everything. So there you go. So I wanted doubles of everything, and that's kind of how it was in when I started drinking. I wanted more of that numb feeling because I had a very low opinion of myself. I hated me. I hated the man that looked back in the mirror at me. If you lived the life I lived, you would drink like me, that sort of thing. And that's the type of attitude that I had. I was afraid of everything, and I was afraid of everyone, and I was afraid of nothing at all. I was even afraid of my own shadow. I lived in that kind of world, and to numb that fear of just living life, when I took a drink of alcohol and I started feeling that buzz, that little click, that little click. There you go. I like tech videos. Oh, sometimes it leaves me, in the dust, but I still enjoy them. Um, so when I get into, when I started feeling that buzz, that numbness, all I wanted was more numbness and oblivion. And that was the mindset of an alcoholic. And then in that oblivion, I did a lot of stupid stuff and I came out and I would feel horrible and I hated myself. And it's like, I can't believe I would do this. So back in I would go, trying to look for that numbness. And that's the type of world I lived in. That was Prince Magnum's life. And this is kind of the thing, a lot of alcoholics can relate to that. Um, if anything, I just described it. If you're sitting there going, that sounds a lot like my drinking life, you might want to stick around. It's kind of like that, you know. Um, and real quick, there are three types of drink world, and I guess you could say one of them is an alcoholic, and it's the one we commonly call the used to be alcoholic. There's three types of drinkers. There's the one type of drinker, they could take it or leave it. They really don't care. It's very rare they're ever drunk. Those are the moderate drinkers, the temperate drinkers. Ooh, there you go. There you go. I'm excited about that already. I say, Queen, you better drop the link to your Twitch channel. You better. Um, for the record, Queen Bee is our refugee from Twitch. If you're not familiar with her, you should be. Queen Bee is one of the finest ladies that has ever graced the Prince Magnum channel. One of the finest. We wouldn't. It just wouldn't be the same if she wasn't here. I had one live stream and she wasn't here. And I'm like, there is something missing. And as soon as she popped in, I'm like, that was it. I don't think she ever knows how important she is to all of us. She's one of the bright spots here on the Prince Magnum channel. There you go. So that should, so that is your moderate drinker. Your moderate drinker. Now, then there's what we call the heavy drinker. And these are the ones you kind of, they used to be alcoholic. Ian, you ornery cuss. But these are the used to be alcoholics. And I mean, yes, yes. Those are the used to be alcoholics. And maybe something happens. They'll drink like a true alcoholic. They will drink like a true alcoholic. And I guess you could say at some point, there you go. See, something happened in your life and you change things, okay? And that is what we call the used to be alcoholics. And those are in AA, we call those heavy drinkers. And something happened that you had to change something. Maybe you get married, or maybe a doctor tells you, okay, dude, you got to stop this. Or maybe you get in trouble with the law and you're like, okay, I'm done. Maybe something happens, you're injured. Something traumatic happens and you're like, I'm done. And you stop, So after that, you're done, you know, and you might moderate or you might stop altogether. Um, so that is what we call the temperate, well, the heavy drinker. Okay. Then there's the true alcoholic, the real deal. And the true alcoholic cannot stop. Um, as a matter of fact, let me go to the as uh, I love how you guys always. Yep, exactly. There you go. See, There is actually this will kind of slam it home on that whole what the true alcoholic is. Um, you only drink like okay, that's not bad. I always hated beer because I would get sick before I got drunk. How you doing, Carla? Welcome to the live stream. We're talking Alcoholics Anonymous, and I've been telling some stories about my sponsor, Soberman, the guy who was my first sponsor, and then briefly he wasn't my sponsor, but as of a couple of years ago, he's sponsoring me again. And let me tell you, that guy is he's an amazing person. I still look up to him. I look up to him as like a father figure, and there is no one else like him. Well, hang on a second. We'll okay. Let me let me answer that. Let me read this, and um this will kind of give you an idea what an alcoholic is like. And this is still works. Um this is still kind of the mindset that should kind of bring it home. If you are as seriously alcoholic as we were, we believe there is no middle of the road solution. We were in a position where life was becoming impossible, and if we had passed into a region from which there is no return through human aid, we had but two alternatives. One, go on to the bitter end, blotting out the consciousness of our intolerable situation as best we could, and the other was to accept spiritual help. Please note, I did not say religious help. There is a difference. Um, some people get that confused. Religion is basically a group of people who believe in God along the same lines. For the most part, they'll disagree here and there, but for the most part, they believe in God along the same lines. And on the other hand, spirituality is your own personal relationship with the God of your understanding, period. Okay? So that is how that works. Now that I've said that, let me also go on to, now that I've said that, let me answer your question, Vile. Alcoholism is a debilitating, it is a terminal disease. It is a terminal disease that affects a person both mentally and physically. Um, if you will, there's a something that we actually say in AA that should really kind of simplify what I just said. Once you take a cucumber and turn it into a pickle, it will always be a pickle. You cannot take a pickle and turn it back into a cucumber. And so once you become alcoholic, you cannot go back. So because of that, I will always be an alcoholic, and I will always have the symptoms of an alcoholic. I have all the signs and symptoms still to this day, the mental signs and symptoms that go on between my ears. You guys don't see it because of the 12 steps, but I still struggle with it. As Soberman would always say, it is perfectly okay if it goes on inside of your head. If you act it out here in the real world, it is not okay. And if he was watching, he would know exactly what I'm talking about. All the twisted thinking that goes on in our head. Um, so now that I have said that, um, that is the big problem with being an alcoholic. You will always need that spiritual remedy or whatever treatment you decide to take. And and let me say right now, I know Alcoholics Anonymous, I talk about it a lot, but there are other programs out there that help people get sober. There are psychiatrists, psychologists that do amazing things. There's a medication available out there. And until science creates that one thing that basically takes an alcoholic and turns them into non-alcoholic where they can drink like normal people, there will always be alcoholics. And I will say that For the record, I have already told Princess Faye that when I go, I want my brain donated to science, so maybe we might get lucky enough to find the cure. And until that time, we will still always need Alcoholics Anonymous and all the other, programs out there that help people get sober. Okay. Okay. And again, not all alcoholics. That's okay. That's how he dealt with it. That's how he found it. Okay. And there is nothing wrong with that. Again, I will say that Alcoholics Anonymous, no, they're in a lot of ways, we're not all the same. You'll hear me say that our stories are the same, but the details change. And if that's what your friend found, then by all means, that's perfectly fine. This is what works for me. Okay. And it works for a lot of other people. So if that's what works for your friend, let him keep on doing what he's doing. As long as he's able to stay sober, that is totally fine. I mean, so again, as I was saying, is AA is does not have the market cornered on sobriety. Okay. There you go. And there's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with that. If you can find a solution to your problems, and again, if somebody can find that thing that helps them, by all means, no question about it, go right for it. You know, that again, AA does not have the market cornered on that. We just found what works for us, and there's millions of us in the world. Um, as a matter of fact, I remember telling Soberman one time, after going to area assembly up in St. Louis, I was telling him, I said, Soberman, of all the things, I said, you might get a kick out of this. And this was like some years ago, this several years ago. I said, they've translated the big book in 54 languages. He's like, wow, where did you hear that? I said, at area. He's like, you learned that at area? Wow. He's like, man, it's been so long since I've been involved in the service structure. And, so a lot of times I would go up to area and I'd come back and tell Soberman some of the cool facts about AA that I was learning. And he was like, you are really getting into this. He said, I'm so proud of you. And, I remember when one of the area representative for Alcoholics Anonymous in our area met Soberman after meeting me and and getting to know me and everything. I remember him meeting Soberman, and I told I was telling telling this guy I said, this is my sponsor Soberman, and the area chairman um takes Soberman's hand and shakes his hand and says, let me be one of the first people to shake the man of the hand of someone who sponsors someone that I genuinely admire. He said, I have never seen someone with that type of enthusiasm, and I have a funny feeling it was you that passed it on to him. He said, well, he really did get my brand of sobriety. He said, a lot of times I sometimes feel like I'm listening to myself. And he said, but he put the work in. He worked very hard for his sobriety. And I genuinely am very proud of Prince Magnum. And that, I mean, Soberman is one of the most humble people that I've ever met. Um, he will say, when I start telling him, I appreciate everything that you have taught me. And I said, there's people around the world right now that are, listening to stories about us, the things that we've done and the things that you've taught me. There are people around the world taking that in right now that it helps them. And some of them aren't alcoholic. And he's like, wow, I never knew that, the message, that he's like, he said, but he said, don't put me on a pedestal, Prince Magnum. Remember, I was once just like a lot of alcoholics. I said, I know that. I said, I don't put you on a pedestal. I just tell the stories. I said, a lot of people look up to you now because of the stories. He said, yeah, but I know how you are. He said, you're a great storyteller. So stop. He said, don't put me on a, I said, calm down. I'm just telling the stories as is. And he's like, and it's helping people. I said, yeah. I said, that's all that matters is it helps people. And he said, I can appreciate that. And, every once in a while when when him and I talk, I'll be telling him, that you all say hi. And he's like, where are all these people from? I said, around the world, sober man. I said, from around the world. Someone one time I started bringing up something that Soberman had said, and I forget what live stream it was, but they turned around and said, oh, we're hearing something from the OG Soberman. And I started laughing and I told him about that. He's like, are you freaking kidding me? Prince Magnum, stop. I said, no. I said, people know that when I start telling something, I said, they're going to learn something. And he's like, oh God. He's like, really? Really? He's like, that. I said, people genuinely admire what you have to say. And, they love you for who you are. They've never even met you, but they love you for who you are. And I said, they love you for the stories. And he's like, wow. He said, little did we know. I said, just think, we were standing in the middle of a dang, you know, a Lutheran church next to their little kitchenette with a book that we don't even know what happened to this little booklet. And I asked you to sponsor me. And it's in the middle of, and this church is in the middle of little bitty Park Hills, Missouri. Most people can't even find it on a map, let alone probably find it on Google Maps. It's kind of like that. And I asked you to sponsor me, and here we are 14 years later, and your stories are reaching people around the world, helping them get through whatever it is, giving them the message of hope and whatever it is going on in their life. Maybe it's not alcohol, maybe it's not drugs, maybe it's just something eating their lunch, maybe it's depression, whatever it is, it's helping them get through. And he's like, wow, that's pretty crazy, man. I said, well, it has to be a God thing that we came together. He said, because I didn't think you'd make it. He said, he said, if I was taking bets, I'd have lost money. That's true story. Yep. Soberman's a great guy. I remember one time. I am sure I'm sober. It's been, as a matter of fact, easiest way the easiest way to spot. Thank you, Ian. The easiest way to spot someone who isn't sober in Alcoholics Anonymous, alcoholic, every good alcoholic, in AA who's trying to do the deal has a sober date, and they can rattle it off. Ha! Well, the ponytail. I was outside working on my car, doggone it. The linkage for my clutch slipped out from where them old Z-bar linkages. But, it is what it is. So I was out there working. I came back in, cleaned up a little bit, and then went live. I had some work to do. That's just the nature of the beast. I'm out there doing what I do. I'm sure you're out there doing what you do. Whatever it is, I don't know. I'm not in your personal life. Uh, you know, so every good alcoholic, um, they can rattle off their sober date. February 7th, 2006, Park Hills, Missouri. Was my very first AA meeting. It was at Trinity Lutheran Church. I could point out the exact spot where I asked my sponsor to sponsor me. Um, you know, uh, you guys get the idea. Believe me, I remember it was some scary times. I really didn't know what I was going to do in my life. And Sober Man started leading me through the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. Um, that's just kind of how it is. And, to the person, I mean, yeah, I'm sober. I'm the real deal. I don't do any drugs whatsoever. No drugs, no alcohol. The only thing I'm allowed to take is what's over the counter or what's prescribed by a doctor. And even then, I have to take it as it's prescribed or on the back of the package. How you doing, sis? It's good to see you. About time you come in here. Playing too much Minecraft, huh? No, Sean's stuck in a part of the country where he has really crappy internet. I mean, I thought my internet gave me a hard way to go. No, Sean's is worse, even worse. Uh, it's just one of those things. So again, uh, so Soberman started teaching me the 12 steps. I started to tell this story earlier. When Soberman was going through some problems with his wife and that sort of thing, his pump was running out of its baclofen, which is a non-narcotic pain medication. Oh, Minecraft's been messing. I haven't played Minecraft in a little while. I've been wanting to. Actually, I've been playing Animal Crossing lately, and I'm Princess Faye and I've been having fun with that. Um, but I'm ready to crack open Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild again. Yeah, I totally just said that. I love that game. She's been wanting me to try out the new Elder Scrolls Blades, but I just haven't picked it up yet. The, it's better on PC. You want me to? I've been wanting to. We got to pick up a capture card so I can start live streaming. I've been wanting to do more Legend of Zelda stuff for you guys, a lot more. But any hoopty do. Back to sobriety. So when Soberman was, he's in Indiana right now, and Indiana is kind of I hear bad things. It's like a hole in the wall or something. I don't know. I've been through Indiana on my way to Ohio, but that's about it. Animal Crossing? Oh gosh. Um, I'm not a huge fan of it. I mean, it's cute. Oh, really? I'm gonna say, David nearby, tell that dork brother of ours, I said hi. But anyhow, so if you understood my little brother, he's a dork. um, some parts, yeah, some parts like Indiana has its whole thing like Missouri. So Missouri is just like a hole in the wall. Oh, really? Wow. Yeah, it is what it is. But um, anyhow, all right, back to where I was. Soberman, his baclofen pump ran out of medication, and he said, "Hey, Prince Magnum, I'm going up there to see if they'll fill it up there." Yeah, I know, sis. I know. I understand. Believe me, I understand. Um, anyhow, so he I remember where I was. Um, he's like, we got to go up to, and this is it. This is an actual story that just to this day is still important to me. Not because of what he was going through, but because of what I learned. Because up until this particular story, I used to put Soberman on a big pedestal, and a lot of people would be like, "Wow, Soberman." It was ridiculous. He hated it with a passion. Um, and what ended up happening was he's like, I got to go up to St. Louis University. I'm going to try to talk him into refilling my pump because his insurance somehow something happened and it lapsed, and his pump started making this beep 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 noise. So we jumped into his little Chevy Cavalier, And it was an older one from the 80s, ironically enough. And this little Chevy Cavalier, we had a tape deck in it, and he broke out all these old tapes. And it was, for those that do not know, I am like a huge fan of Kiss. Kiss is my all time favorite band. You will not change my mind. The only band that even comes close is a band called Typo Negative, and then right behind that, Rob Zombie and like, AC/DC and bands. But Kiss is my all time favorite. I'm one of those. I'm not quite a diehard member of the Kiss Army, but I'm pretty dang close. That's just one of them things. As a matter of fact, that's one of my favorite things to do in karaoke is sing music by Kiss, which that probably doesn't surprise any of you by this point. So now that I've said all that, we he drags out all this Kiss music, and we had up until this point we had not talked about favorite music. We just talked about sobriety, and a lot of our stories were a lot of the same from what I could tell. And so we jump in the car and we go up to St. Louis University Hospital, and the whole time we're jamming out to all of our favorite songs. And even the songs that we don't like, we still, a true Kiss fan will still know every last one of those songs. And we both were. I did not know this. It blew my mind. I'm like, my sponsor is a Kiss fan just like me. And all of the songs that we didn't like by Kiss, um, were the same. So all the ones that we liked were the same. All of our favorites were pretty much the same. That we didn't like, it was like that, and we knew all. So we were actually singing, both of us, in this 80s Cavalier going up to St. Louis University Hospital. Were both of us just singing and having a good time, and it was a great time. It was a great time, and I'm like, this is the guy who's sponsoring me. This is so cool, doing all the things that I would do on a road, and we had a great time. Well, then we get up to St. Louis University. Uh-oh, here we go. Here we go. Ian's after Queen again. I know what Queen is. She's one of the finest, sweetest ladies to grace the Maverick Nation. That's who Queen Bee is. Anyhow, so we get up to St. Louis University Hospital, and they decide that while we are there, that they did not want to refill his pump. Soberman was very upset, and he was very upset. And we're getting back in the car, and there we go. We're getting back in the car, and Ian, you ornery cuss. We're getting back in the car, and he's very upset. He's expressing, and I know how us alcoholics can get. And so he's talking very much out of his head. They basically gave him the pill form of the baclofen, and it made him he was very sick for a long while on this stuff. And so it was bad news. It was bad news. And, so he was experiencing this, and as he was, saying, just kind of talking, just very angrily at the situation. I'm listening to him, and I'm like, this is exactly what I would go through. And immediately, as a new boob, are you trying to say she's a new boob? Anyhow, you know, so, he's expressing these upset emotions, and immediately, like any good person in sobriety, immediately I reached out, and I said I'm still fairly new to sobriety, because I only had I think I was like 3.5 months at that time. I said, I don't know how to help you. What can I do to fix you? What do you need from me? And he kind of looks at me, and he realizes at that point that someone cares. That's all it was. Someone cares. Um, And he started, kind of calming down, and he started talking about, some of the things that were going on and some of the things he was struggling with. And then before you knew it, we were telling stories before we got sober. And we were like halfway home, and we stopped off and, uh, at a Long John Silver's, and we had dinner, and we talked. We had a lot of laughs. We ended up having more fun on the way home, that last half, than we did on the initial trip up. So I learned two things. One, my sponsor, Soberman, is just like everybody else. He hurts just like everybody else. He has good things and bad things happen in his life just like everybody else. Um, so I learned he was human. And I then also, so it brought him down where, he was kind of eye level, because he was really on a high pedestal for me. And he really hated that. But then it brought him down to human level, and more relatable to me, and which helped me a lot more in my sobriety. But then at the same time, something else also happened. Um, I learned that I could be useful in sobriety, because I was still so new to sobriety. I didn't think I was useful for anything, nothing at all. I didn't think I was useful at all. I mean, how could I be of any help to anyone? I'm still learning this thing. I'm of no help to anyone. How can I be relatable to someone, let alone, and someone walking in the door or something like that? Well, basically, when I mean human, I mean he was, not like, he was like an alien or something. But what I'm talking about is that, that he could be, that he can make mistakes, human being. Um, that he wasn't some hierarchy human being, but he was a regular, normal, everyday human being. That he had emotions and things like that. That he was just like you and me. You know. So I mean, I learned that, and Ian, you ornery cuss. So that was something that sober man taught me, through that experience. And when I brought up that, I started to talk about it earlier, and we kind of, you know, got chasing rabbits again, all over the place like ricochet rabbit. Um, we When I was at that meeting that I was chairing, and I said, sober man, I got this idea popped in my head last night. you know, uh, um, idea pop into my head last night. I want to talk about sponsorship, but there's this way that I feel I should talk about it. And he's like, "What's your idea?" And I said, "Oh man, um, I got this idea that I'm supposed to, and I told him, that I wanted to tell a story about something that." Guys are awesome. You know, um, and he's like, "What's your idea?" I said, "Well, I'm going to say, if tell us a story about something you and your sponsor have done together, or maybe something you and someone you sponsor have done together. Tell us a story. You know." And he's like, "Man, that's a great idea." He's like, "Where'd you get this idea?" I said, "I don't know. I was laying in bed and it smacked me in the back of the head, and I thought it would be a great idea for a meeting." I said, I'm going to do it. I chaired this Friday, and I'd like to do it." And he's like, "That's a wonderful idea, Prince Magnum. Do it, do it." And he said, "I'll be there. I'll be there." He said, "I'm looking forward to this." And of all the things, Mrs. Soberman came to this one. She's like, "I'm curious. I want to see how this turns out." And we get to this meeting, and when I told, when I opened it up and was having all sorts of fun. And then I said, let me tell you all, I've got this topic. I said, it hit me, a couple days ago. I was laying in bed and it hit me in the back of the head that I needed to do this today. as a topic. Said, so here's the topic for the day. And I hope, I said, I'm just curious where it's going to go. I said, I'm going to throw it out, throw it around the table and let's see what happens. I said, so here is the topic. And I said, tell us a story about something you and your sponsor have done together, that you'll never forget for the rest of your life. And I said, I'll start it off so you guys get an idea of what I'm talking about. And I told that same story where we were on our way to St. Louis. And then Soberman, I said, it was an amazing story. I said, I've learned so much about my sponsor. I said, I learned that we had so much in common. And it was so wonderful, because it brought him down to a more, brought him down where he, I guess you could say more relatable level for me. I said, and it probably helped my sobriety so much. And at that time, I was like, a lot of stuff happened when I was 7 months sober. When I was telling this, and then Soberman speaks up and he says, "Well, I'm the other half of that story." And he said, and he started going into more detail about that story, what he was experiencing that day. And he said, "Let me say right now, and I'm going to get all choked up on y'all." He said, "If it wasn't for Prince Magnum that day, I don't think I would be here right now. I think I would have gotten," he said, "I think I would have done something very horrible that day." And he said, Prince Magnum was there and he saved my life that day. And the fact that, that I could do that, that I could be there for somebody and help them through. And, he's an amazing friend. And, there he threw all that out there, signifying that, that my sobriety, that me being sober and being there and being who I am today in Alcoholics Anonymous, that I could, that was a big moment for me. And Soberman, just saying that, and in that meeting, that meant the world, because at that point, I mean, it shows that it's, that it's the real deal. And there we were, it was exciting for him to do that. And I will tell you all right now, he's still to this day, every once in a while we'll talk about that and he'll say, if you hadn't been there that day, and I said, you know what though? I'm glad I was. And he, there he was telling that story. Now I'll tell you a funny story. There for a while, the gal that I was with before Princess Faye, she went, if you will, she went by Lady Katrina. And this was before there was a Prince Magnum channel. That was, it was there for a while. It was Lady Katrina and Prince Magnum. But that is another story for another time. But anyhow, we were actually briefly living with Soberman and Mrs. Soberman. And we came home from work. And this is before we got our first place together. And we come home from work. And, Soberman actually worked in a recovery treatment center at that time. And he, I come in and he, because I look up to Soberman like a father. And I said, he said, "How was work, son?" I said, "Well, I did this. I start telling him, what I did at work." He's like, "That's awesome, man." He's like, "It sounds like you had fun at work." I said, "Oh yeah, I have a great time, and that was when I still worked the medical field. This is before my stroke. I said, "Well, how was your work today, Dad?" We went back and forth like that. He said, "I had a rough day at work," and he started just, rah, 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 rah. He laid it all out. I mean, he went off the deep end with how upsetting it was at work. And I listened, and I listened, and then pretty soon, it gets to the point where he kind of stops. And I said, "Are you done?" And he said, "Yeah, I think I'm done." And I don't even remember what he was upset about, but I said like two sentences, just two sentences. And you just seen this wide-eyed look. Because at that time, Soberman's sponsor, his name was Jim. And he looks right at me. He says, "Prince Magnum, you're an asshole." He said, "You sound just like Jim. Why can't you just be mad with me?" And we both started laughing. He said, "Gosh dang it, you sound like Jim." I said, "But that's what you would do for me, though. You would do the same exact thing." And he smiles and he said, "I want to get upset because you won't be mad with me." He said, "But right now," he said, "I am so proud of you." He said, "I am so proud of you right now. I have never been so proud." He said, "Because he said, you've got this thing that we know as Alcoholics Anonymous." And you, he said, "There are times that the sponsee is going to be sponsoring the sponsor. You just did that." He said, "You turned it back around on me in a good way." He said, "I could not be more proud of you than I am right now. The fact that you turned it around in a good way." And here I'm starting to tear up again thinking about this. He said, "I'm proud of you." He said, "Let me tell you right now." He said, he said, these are the things that I look forward to watch you do these things." He said, "I'm very proud of you." He said, "This is what it's all about." He said, "Thank you. Thank you for showing me that you truly got this." And, again, Soberman is one of those people that, I mean, when you hear him in a meeting, he's just, you'd swear, you guys think that I get going, woo, just that on fire for Alcoholics Anonymous. He really has an amazing knack for, I got it honestly, that enthusiasm, but I have a different flair to it. But that enthusiasm, I took it directly out of his book, whether I meant to or not. I kid you not, when we would go to AA meetings together, we got called the dynamic duo of sobriety. That was a common one. Or the 1-2 punch of sobriety. That was another one, the 1-2 punch of sobriety. Because literally, one of us would say something, and then the other one of us would talk and literally build on what the other one would say. So it was like it wasn't like we were trying to one up each other, but it was like we were just, but we would just literally be building on what we would say. Give you an example. I was in an AA meeting one time with Soberman. It was at a noon topic group meeting, again, over in Park Hills. It was my home group for a long time. And we're in that meeting, and he says, Prince Magnum. Well, I'm sorry. He says one thing. He says, I'm curious what you're going to say this meeting." I said, "Okay." And we were talking about, I forget what it was, the tools of the program. And I was talking about the importance of reading the big book. And literally, he was right next to me. And he basically then takes what I said about, the importance of reading the big book and getting all the ingredient, the things that you need out of it. He turns around and he starts building on it. He says, "I can read this book and get whatever I want out of this." He said, "But, it requires a sponsor and a home group and working the program through with what AA has taught us." And he literally built on this. and on what I said. And then afterwards, he says, I don't want you to get upset. He said, what you said was good. He said, I was just building on what you said. I said, no, totally fine. I totally get, I said, I totally get it. And he said, he said, I just didn't want you to think I was, picking on you. I said, no, no, I figured you were building on it. It was good stuff. I was entranced. And he said, okay. He said, as long as you're okay. Then we fast forward 1 year later, almost probably to the day. It probably wouldn't surprise me. We're in a totally different meeting. Oh, you guys getting rough with each other? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Anyhow. I'm sorry, I shouldn't. That was so bad. I shouldn't have done that. Anyhow. Uh so we're in a meeting and then Soberman starts talking about the importance of the big book. And on cue, on cue, I start literally saying almost the same exact thing that he said 1 year prior in the Noon Topic group. And, you know, so immediately, you know, um, Soberman said, I said, I said, what I said was that he said, no, no. He said, I'm glad you grabbed it just the way he said, the way you grabbed onto what I said, and then you literally built on it. He said, that was amazing. I loved it. And I said, you know what's funny? I didn't realize it till afterwards, but you and I had literally, I had literally said the same exact thing. Well, you had said the same exact thing. I said, the role was reversed this time. He's like, what do you mean? And I told him the story, basically told him that, he's like, that happened? I said, yes. He's like, I'll be damned. He said, you have learned well, Grasshopper. Where's our spoiler alert? Princess Faye's at work. Project Lena's with her, So, I mean, I guess I could always go out and start up Spirit and push in the clutch and then, holler out, I clutched it. That'd be about it. I mean, unfortunately, Princess Faye's stuck at work right now. So, since Project Spirit doesn't have a spoiler, she didn't come with one. I mean, I guess I could put a ducktail. Yeah. So, we'll have to do the spoiler alert another time, but that's okay. That's okay. Uh, you know, so that's, again, Soberman and I have some really funny stories, and every once in a while we'll get talking. I've been wanting to get um, to record him and then play the recording of him and him and I talking in a live stream, and that would be oh no, oh my gosh, and basically talk about that in basically play it in a live stream, what he sounds like, and I mean he's an amazing guy. I mean, just one hell of a story. Oh, you're just, oh my gosh, you guys are, I love you guys. Love you guys so much. You know, and let me tell you all, when I told him that you all enjoy hearing stories about him and hearing, what kind of person he is and that sort of thing. And let me tell you, I'm going to actually use my, tell you all, I don't use my real name very often here on the Prince Magnum channel, but let me tell you that my real you all know that my real name is Dennis, and he'll say, "Oh wow, no six for man, that's cold. That's cold now. That'd be about enough of that sort of talk." But Soberman, when he's about to teach me something, he'll actually this is what it'll sound like. Well, Dennis, my boy, I'm like, uh-oh, I'm about to learn something important. So that's actually a Soberman thing, and he's just again, I mean, an amazing. Um, we have a lot of heartfelt stories. He's still having. After all these years, he's still, having troubles with his relationship. I believe it's with his oldest son. Yep. Um, he's still having problems with his oldest son. The relationship is still kind of rocky, and his oldest son one day just laid into Soberman and just totally said some horrible things. And Soberman, you know, he calls and I think I was like 4 years sober at this time. And Soberman calls and he says, he said, I just need to talk. And I said, okay. And he tells me, my oldest son, lays into me. And I said, Soberman, um, I know how upsetting this has got to be. I'm father, at that time, I said, I'm father of 3 children. I get it. I said, but now that I've said that, I said, I sometimes struggle, having a relationship with my own dad. There's a lot of my life that he doesn't even understand. He doesn't even get it. Here I am in sobriety. He won't ever fully understand. And I love my dad. I said, but, you know, there are some things he'll never fully understand. You, on the other hand, do understand a great deal of my life, more than my own family. And you even know parts of my life that my own family doesn't even understand. And you don't judge. You love me as if I'm one of your own. I said, I'm sorry your son doesn't get it. I'm sorry. I said, and I kind of feel bad for him because he doesn't see what kind of man you are today. You are one of the finest men that I know. And I said, I know way back when I asked you to sponsor me. And there are times I said, and in that sponsorship, you became my best friend. But since that time, I oftentimes look up to you as a father figure. You are like a dad to me. And I'm sorry, your son doesn't get it. I'm sorry he doesn't get it. But I will say, without a shadow of a doubt in my mind, that's on him because he will never get to know the man that I've come to admire, to look up to as a father, because you are that kind of man. You know, you helped save my life, and through you, we have reached countless people. That would be nice, but I need to. Well, I'm working off of a cellular device. I don't think they've got a Nightbot for a cellular device. I might have to look into that uh, because I have a crappy setup yet. I'm still working the bugs out. It's crappy because I haven't worked all the bugs out of it. One of them things. So that is actually the story there. I mean, Soberman. I told Soberman that I looked up, and when I started telling him that, he's like, "Thank you. I appreciate that." And, I talked to him and I called him up a little bit later to see if he was going to go to a meeting with me. And he said, I've been crying this whole time because of what you said to me. He said, he said, that is the nicest thing anybody's ever said to me. And he said, I started crying. He said, and I said, well, I meant every word. Don't say no more, please. He said, if you say another, I'm going to start crying again. And I still to this day look up to him like a father. I really don't even have a relationship with my own dad. Um, he doesn't have much nice to say about me anymore. About the nicest thing he says is, well, Prince Magnum's a pretty smart guy. About it. Other than that, he has nothing good to say. It's usually pretty hateful. Um, and all I can say is, well, whatever. You know, that's just it, whatever that's his thing. So because of that, um, you know, I have a better relationship with Soberman than I do my own dad. Soberman gets it. As a matter of fact, when I was telling him about the makeup lives, he's like, "Oh God, not this crap again." He said, "I thought you outgrew that." He said, "Back in your 20s, putting on makeup." I said, "People are having fun." He said, "Are you having fun?" I said, "Well, I'm having fun when people are having fun. You know how that works." It's not about what it's not about what I'm getting out of it. It's what everybody else is getting out of it. What are we adding to the flow of life? I said, are we not supposed to be producers of harmony rather than confusion? And he's like, I get it. He said, don't you feel uncomfortable with that? I said, nah. I said, I've done it before. I said, but I'll tell you, I said, automatically I think of Robin Williams and Mrs. Doubtfire. He said, you're having fun. He said, you're having fun. Well, we have a very special treat. Welcome to the live stream, Mrs. KJ Del Rey. Welcome to the live stream. You just got through with the walk. Well, I'm glad that you're here. I'm actually telling some stories about my sponsor, Soberman, the guy who has taught me so much in Alcoholics Anonymous. He's a dear friend, and I've been telling some heartfelt stories about him, and he's an amazing friend. He's an amazing sponsor, and he's like a dad to me. I look up to him, and every time I tell him that people that around the world, know of him and know of many of the things that he's taught me, he's like, I never would have guessed that what I was, teaching you would reach so many people. I said, around the world, sober man, around the world. And every once in a while, when you all say hi, tell me to tell them that you all said hi and that, that sort of thing, and that, you guys love him and that sort of thing. He's like, well, tell them I said hi right back and that I love them too. And eventually I've been wanting to get him into like not necessarily like a live stream, but I want to get him into a situation where I can record what he says and then play it back for all of you, because I think you guys would get a kick out of what he's like. Not a joke. I mean, he's just an amazing. I mean, y'all think I can get really boisterous, about AA, and I can get really enthusiastic and kind of speak from the rooftops and stuff like that. You ain't seen nothing yet. I've got my own style, but that enthusiasm about sobriety, I got directly out of his book. I mean, but every once in a while, I'll do an impression of him here on the channel, and I'll tell him, by the way, I did an impression of you in the last Sober Talk Live. He's like, oh God, no. And one day I was sitting there at the kitchen table with my girlfriend at that time, the gal I was engaged to at that time before Princess Faye. And she could have easily became the stepmother to my son, Devin. So to me, it's kind of okay to talk about her. I know KJ is like, you don't talk about exes. Well, in my case, because of having children, having children and all, it's kind of different. It's a little bit different when you got kids. But that being said, so there we were, we're all around the table. It's, Lady Katrina, Soberman, Mrs. Soberman, Soberman's wife, and myself were all sitting around the table. And, I started talking about my early days of sobriety. I said, Soberman does not know this, but we all of us that, he used to sponsor back then. And at that time, he only sponsored a couple of us. Back then, there was only we would all do impressions of Soberman, who could do the best impression. By the way, I had the best. He's like, you guys did impressions of me? I said, yes. And he's like, this I got to see. And, Mrs. Soberman's like, yes, I got to see this too. I said, all right, you guys ready? And, and I did this impression, and Mrs. Soberman's like, oh my God, that is Soberman right there. Oh my God, that is him. That is total. And he's like, and he's like, yeah, I guess I do sound like that. And he started laughing. He's like, I can't even believe this. It was great. And what it was like I've been sober for like 2 weeks, 2 weeks. And I decided to mess with everybody at a meeting. It was a Friday, so I was off that day from my nursing home job back then. I was off work, and of all the things, I'm like, if they knew who I was, they wouldn't want me in AA anyways. So what I was trying to do was I was trying to make myself so unique that, I just go back out and start drinking. This is literally the mindset. I was actually trying to talk myself into a relapse. So I put on my goth makeup, black nail polish, purple lipstick, that sort of thing. And I showed up at this AA meeting. And Soberman, it kind of threw him off a little bit. He was cool with it though. He took it in stride. And he comes up, and this was the literal impression because and you got to understand when you need when you're sponsoring someone, you need to know the details of kind of a lot of different things about them so you know how to sponsor them. And so it kind of threw him off a little bit. And with his stroke, the strokes that he had has affected his right hand. So literally, his right hand kind of does this thing. And so that being said, he kind of talks. He's like, I'm kind of like him because I talk with my hands, and you'll notice a lot of times I'll talk with my left hand. That's because I got that from Soberman, literally. So he's like, Prince Magnum is there something that I kind of need to know about you that, to kind of help me along in sponsoring you? And I'm like, well, what are you talking about? The nail polish and the lipstick. What is it about that? Is there something that that he said? Not that it's a big deal. He said it'll just help me in sponsoring you. And I said no. I said it's just something I do to kind of throw people off. It's goth makeup. Okay, I just wanted to double check and make sure. He said, I don't. He said I've sponsored all types. It doesn't bother me. He said, but he said I just needed to double check and make sure. He said because so I know how to sponsor you properly. And so when I did that impression for Mrs. Soberman, she's like, "Oh my God, that is my husband right there." He's like, "I don't. Do I sound like yes, honey, you do." He's like, "I'll be dang." He said, "Just goes to show when I'm long gone, it is not a crock pot, Harrison." You honoring cousin. It's a slow cooker. Crock pot is not. Anyhow, so yeah, that I did that impression, and Soberman's like, "Oh my God, what am I gonna do?" He's like, just goes to show when I'm long gone, I will. He said, "I'll be alive and well even when I'm long gone through you, Prince Magnum." Right, right. But all right, now that I've said that, would be a really good one to tell you guys. You know how you'll hear me occasionally say there are some things that we found that's perfectly okay in sobriety as long as we have a willing partner or two. I actually took that line directly from Soberman, and all I could do is just sit there and go, "Oh man." Yeah. Yeah. And there was actually another line I got directly from Soberman. The next line I got from him, and this is how I actually do things here at home. The first time, we'll get it for you. After that, hey, what's going on, Gavin John? Welcome to the live stream. I'll tell you another funny story. This is actually how Soberman treats it. It is not a crock pot. It's a slow cooker. Crock pot is an actual name brand. And I don't have the name brand crock pot. So now that I've said that, Soberman, he has this policy that he uses at his place. When you're here the first time, we'll get it for you because you're a guest. After that, you're one of us and get it yourself. So that we actually do that. Well, Chairman, thank you for being here. Appreciate you, buddy. Appreciate you. You're a good guy. If y'all not got over there to check out the chairman, please do so. He's building his channel and he's got some pretty good stuff. Y'all need to check him out. Check him out. And there's another person that poked her head in here. I started to say some, Mrs. KJ Del Rey. There's a lot of you out there. There's quite a few people that I have met who are dear friends to the Prince Magnum channel that I have met through Mrs. KJ Del Rey. And let me tell you, she's a very, very sweet woman. She's a very lovely woman, just beautiful inside and out, hands down, bar none. You know, if you have not checked out Mrs. KJ Del Rey's channel, you are definitely missing out. She's just one of the sweetest people. And through her, I met another dear friend to the Prince Magnum channel, Mr. Kuko Games, and another dear friend, just another sweet person, hands down, bar none. We're talking, I met these people early on last year, and through them, it is not a crock pot, you ornery cuss. It is through them that the Prince Magnum channel has grown to the size that it is today. You know, just they're just amazing, amazing. She's an amazing woman, and I don't think that Mrs. KJ Del Rey gets enough credit for the sweet personality that she has here on YouTube. As a matter of fact, she herself, occasionally has, occasionally drinks. And when she found out about my sobriety, immediately has been so super supportive of the Prince Magnum channel and sober talk and things like that. Just hands down, I couldn't ask for another dear friend. She's another dear person that definitely deserves, is one of the finest lady mavericks that we have here in the Maverick Nation. She's just a very sweet person, and I don't get to shout her out enough. And when she comes in, I love to shout her out because I know she probably blushes a little bit on how I shout her out. And for the record, another one, yes, Harrison, and you deserve all the hugs in the world, Harrison, even though you're an honorary cuss. You know, Mr. Gavin John is here in the live stream, another dear friend to the Prince Magnum channel. Just a wonderful personality. I have been in his live streams, and let me tell you, just a warm and loving personality. Just amazing friend, amazing friend. Doesn't his channel is way too small. It deserves to be. Honestly, I feel that Gavin John's channel deserves to be even bigger than the Prince Magnum channels. I do love you, Harrison. You're a good guy. You're a good guy. I love you very much. And one of the things that Soberman taught me is how to be queen. He taught me how to be grateful, for the people in our in our lives, how the people that are in our lives can touch our lives in a positive manner, how they can build us up. And Soberman taught me how to be thankful for those people. Soberman, the man who sponsors me, and let me tell you, when I was 6.5 years sober, he actually stopped sponsoring me for a while, and I went through several sponsors. None of them could get the job done. None of them could help me with my spiritual life. No one understood me like Soberman. And in the end, when Soberman and I had a talk, and I said, you got to start sponsoring me again. Nobody seems to get it. And you're going to be the only one who's going to be able to fully understand, to whatever degree, who's going to be able to help me, because as the Prince Magnum channel is getting bigger, Soberman. Thank you, Harrison. That means a lot that I can help you. It means a lot that I can help you. Um, you know, that that you feel like you could be yourself because of something that I showed you. Um, oh God, here I go again. Thank you for telling me that. Thank you. I'm sorry. I get emotional when, when people tell me that I'm helping them. People tell me that it may I get, I get emotional when people tell me that I'm helping them, that I've helped them with some aspect of their life. And when they tell me that I've helped, and that I'm making a difference, um, I get emotional, and because, there was a time in my life that I didn't I didn't think I meant that much. And even after 14 years of sobriety, when someone tells me that I make a difference, um, I love you for who you are. You know, um, all of you guys mean the world to me. You know, I can go live, I could talk about sobriety, or I could talk about whatever that day and try to bring a message of positive, that whole positive vibe right into, you guys' living room or wherever you're at. And, you know, let me tell you, that, when you're, a guy like me, there was a time you were a fallen down drunk, and, little do you know you'll make a difference, you never know, that sort of thing. And then all of a sudden you hear people say, oh, you make a difference, you mean so much, that one time you said this, it changed my life. And then, to go from where people said, you're a worthless low life to you make a difference, that's that's how, that's big. That's big. And, when you guys tell me that, I mean, I get emotional. I've been on the phone talking to Soberman, and I'll start crying, telling him I can't believe there are people that say that I mean something, and they've never even met me in person. But I'll start talking, and then something that I say may touch their lives, and then they'll tell me about it later, and then next thing they're I said, I didn't know. I said, little did we know. And he just, you could just hear the smile. You can hear the smile as we're talking on the phone. And he said, that's what it's all about. He said, everything that I've taught you, he said, that's what it's all about. And he said, don't keep it to yourself. He said, give it away. Keep giving it, this thing that we know as Alcoholics Anonymous, keep giving it away. He said, he said, because it doesn't belong to you. It belongs to, you know, it belongs to all the people of that spirit of the universe that you hear about in the big book, the God of everyone's understanding, that they don't understand. He said, what you've got belongs to all of them, and it belongs to that God of your understanding. He said, give it away. Just keep giving it away. And, you know, these are the things that Sober Man has taught me. And then to see that it makes a difference, it means the world. Um, and, yes, Harrison, love you to death. Love you to death. It is not a crock pot. um, Now, I started to tell you guys, Gavin John, um, let me tell you that he runs a solid channel. I don't get in enough to his channel, but I'm going to tell you all that, um, you know, he has just such, you know, he has such a way of doing things that it's just like, I mean, his channel deserves to be bigger than mine. Deserves. Hands down, bar none. I'll tell you another one that deserves to have a channel bigger than mine. That's old Ian over there, Mr. Gamer and BRFC. And let me say right now, okay, and I've said this quite a few times, but I'm going to say it again because I mean this. I mean this. Mr. Gamer and BRFC, Ian, as we all know him, is a veteran of Her Majesty's Royal Marine Corps. He's one of the finest men that I know from around the world. It is an honor to know Mr. Gamer and BRFC. It is a true honor to know him because of the time that he served his country. The Prince Magnum channel recognizes its veterans from around the world, not just the ones from here in the United States. And Ian is one of the finest men that I know. He's one of the kindest, gentlest souls that I know. And, I know he does what he does on his channel. And when I heard his new opening line, and when I heard his, I was shouting you out there, brother. Brother Ian. That's what I'm gonna start calling you. Brother Ian, to all of you, to many of you, as Gamer and BRFC. Again, he is a veteran of Her Majesty's Royal Marine Corps. And again, is one of the finest men that I know from around the world. He's one of the most illustrious members of the Maverick Nation. And again, the Prince Magnum channel does recognize veterans from all around the world, hands down, bar none. He is one of the finest men that I know. And I will tell you that when I heard his new opening line, when I heard him say, that line, this is where gaming and romance do coexist, basically taking, my line of this, where hot rodding and romance do coexist, when he made that his own, I'm going to tell you all, that was one of the sweetest things I could have heard. I mean, I actually have to admit, I got a little teary-eyed. I admit I got a little teary-eyed knowing that someone was basically took one of my lines and turned it into one of their own. And the way he does it was just beautiful, beautiful. And it made my day. When Gavin John did it, I mean, it made my day. He did an impression, and I'm like, oh my God, that is so cool. I mean, it made my day. It really did. And I don't think anybody knows how much that meant to me that you guys did that, but Ian, when he did that, it really made my day. And I mean, I've been in his live stream before, and oh my gosh, just the personality and the warmth. Ian, you got to go live more often. Just the warmth. Don't do that, you'll blow yourself up. Be careful with that stuff. So that, Soberman taught me to be to be grateful for the people that are part of that are part of your life. And you guys are part of my life. You guys help me stay sober. You guys help me stay positive. Be careful with that stuff. You blow yourself up. I'm telling you, Harrison. You guys are amazing. I can go live and be hurting, just like initially I was. Don't you run off with the aircraft remover. Don't lose that cap. You'll blow us all up. What you miss? I'm giving everybody a big, the biggest shout out I possibly can. And I was just talking about how Ian's, one of the finest men that I know. And again, I've been in his live stream, and when I seen him go live, I seen he was live. I'm like, I was off that day, and early in the morning for me, And I went in, and I mean, as soon as I said, "Hey, what's going on?" And I mean, he did that. Ian did an impression of me, and it was just, I mean, I started laughing, and I started tearing up at the same time. And because I got emotional. I got emotional. And Ian, you got to go live more often. You've got to. Ian and Gavin John, both just amazing personalities. But I have to give the shout outs to both of you guys. Uh, you guys deserve much bigger channels. And I will say it right now, both of you should actually be bigger than me, because both of you, when I'm in your guys' live streams, you guys seem larger than life. But it is what it is, and we'll continue to keep shouting you guys out until you guys are there. You know, um, until you guys are there, we'll just keep shouting you out. Ooh, gonna be rough and bad. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Anyhow. Oh my gosh, I was bad. I apologize for that. I shouldn't have done that joke. But anyhow, you guys are amazing. And I'm going to tell you all right now, Queen Bee, I met um, Queen Bee is one of the sweetest ladies that I've also met. Her and her husband both, and I missed it. What the gosh dang it! I'm sorry, I missed. Damn, it's probably stuck at work. Then, yeah, someone hollered it out. I heard. God damn it, I heard it. Yeah. Um, damn it. But anyhow, before I get more terribly upset, um, let me tell you all that you know, Queen Bee is one of the sweetest gals I ever met. I met her in Alley Cat GTZ's live stream, and she is one of the sweetest gals that I have ever met. And it is not a crock pot, you ornery cuss. She's, you know, I don't think I've ever heard that woman say anything cross to anybody who didn't deserve it. I don't think I've ever. I mean, she jokes around in here, and we have a lot of fun. And you know, uh, Queen Bee has been on more than one occasion very motherly with me, and I'm older, a lot older, and she'll. I think she keeps an eye out on me. I wish she keeps an eye on me regularly, making sure that I don't, um, you kind of keeping an eye out on me, when Princess Faye's absence. And it's really nice, that you got a friend that cares about you that much. Really sweet woman. And her and TFC Gaming, I cannot wait till the day comes when, oh, well, that's right. Queen Bee is a freaking legend. Miss Analysis Mayor, you'll just have to just stick around a little bit longer. We don't hand out wrenches as quickly as we used to. We did that, and it kind of bit us in the butt. But keep sticking around, and keep that mood light, and we'll yeah, just you know what you kind of said the other day. Kind of had a little bit of concerns, but other than that, we won't. Just keep sticking around and remain in the positive zone, and then yeah, we'll throw that wrench your direction. You'll definitely be a maverick mechanic. All right, let's see. Let's see where we at. Where we at? And again, there's a lot of you that made a serious impact in my life. Gosh, even my partner, even though we don't talk as much as we used to, but my dear partner, Jam and John, He is one of the, he showed me a lot of things, taught me some stuff, and he definitely said, Prince Magnum, you've got the content. He's like, you've got the personality. We just got to get you noticed. And sure enough, you know, ah, I'll be eating a little something here just shortly. Don't worry, Queen. I know. I got to take care of me, you know. Oh, and yes, I did eat earlier today. I took, I totally ate earlier. I ate lots of chocolate and I inhaled 6 tons of sugar. As a matter of fact, I snorted it directly up my nose. Just all this sugar. Uh, Well, Gavin John, thank you for being here, buddy. I appreciate you. And again, if y'all not checked out Gavin John, you need to. But yeah, Queen, I even ate a big slice of chocolate cake. I got a straw and laid out lines of sugar and you know. Oh my gosh. Yep. And I just took the top off of some chocolate syrup and like just like that. Yeah. Hey, what's going on, Hades? Welcome to the live stream. I'll tell you, there's another guy that's awesome. There's another guy that's really awesome. Good old Hades. Hades, we've been talking about my sponsor, Soberman, and I think everyone's really enjoyed the stories, the heartfelt stories about Soberman. What cake? Yes, we had. No, I didn't have chocolate cake. I'm going to tell you what. One of these because Queen is always getting on to me. One of these times, uh, Queen, you smart ass. I love it. Oh my gosh. It is not a crock pot. Yes, I will go eat here just shortly. You know. Um, but Queen is the real motherly type, and she gets on to me. Go take care of your blood sugar, stuff like that. Uh, Soberman is the nickname for my sponsor, and there's actually a story behind it because at um, he was at some convention and they thought that they were short a speaker and they were talking about, well, why don't you guys do a skit? And it was kind of like a backup thing for in case the speaker didn't show. Well, the speaker was there, but he had this whole thing where he was supposed to go up there and act like a superhero from Alcoholics Anonymous, and this superhero was called Soberman, and it just kind of stuck. And this was years before he met me. Before he met me, and I'm coming into sobriety. So that's where he got the name. So that's how, and so when you hear about a guy on my channel called Soberman, that's actually my AA sponsor, and that's actually a nickname, and it was from a skit that he was going to do. And it was really just kind of, you know, real quick. For the record, when you're first getting into sobriety, behave. Shoot, I barely behave, Queen. You got to get on to me regularly. Come on, You get on to me regularly, I'll do a certain joke. You're like, you're mean because you're laughing too hard at me. You get on to me regularly. Y'all got dirty minds. I didn't even have to do it. You get on to me regularly. You better behave. But anyhow. I know you do. You get on to me all the time. Corner me in Discord and tell me I have to behave myself. You're gonna tell Princess Faye. And that's the thing. You guys don't realize how important you all are to my sobriety too. Yeah, I've been wanting to basically record him in a lot, record him and then play the recording of what he had to say in a live stream so you guys could hear it. And I honestly think you guys would get a big kick out of it. I think you all would enjoy it because he is an amazing guy. I mean, just an amazing story. You know, because I mean, if you ever heard him talk, I mean, just the way he talks, I mean, just would blow your mind. And he's a genuine person that I still look up to. Oh, Queen, after I jump off stream, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into the kitchen. I'm gonna just take my coffee cup and I'm gonna take some chocolate syrup, just start dumping it in there, and just drink. Followed by a big syrupy, go in there to the cabinet and start grabbing all the grabbing the fake maple syrup and then mix that up with some sugar and just like that, just for you. Then we can watch me go into a diabetic coma. No, I'm teasing. I won't do that. She's gonna reach through the camera and choke the piss out of me in a second. You're not funny, Prince. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Queen's over there like just fuming right now because she could see me doing that just out of pure orneriness. I'm not that ornery. Oh man. Oh my gosh. And for the record, again, Queen Bee is still one of the sweetest gals that I've met here on YouTube. She's one of the sweetest. And she will always be one of our refugees from Twitch. Not yet. Not yet. I'm calling Faye right now. Oh my gosh. I would love to see what Princess Faye and Queen Bee would be like in the same room. I honestly think it would be hilarious. And I know TFZ Gaming and I would get in a lot of trouble together. And both gals would have a hell of a time keeping us in line. Just that sort of thing. It would definitely be interesting. Um, we would get it would be a lot of fun. I honestly I cannot wait till that day comes because I know we're gonna all meet up, and Princess Faye, it's just one of them things. I have got to I know she's not in here right now, but I've actually met Sad Cat in person. Sad Cat, I've met her in person. Beautiful woman, sweet personality, just wonderful, wonderful woman. And I when I met her, I wish I had more time to hang out with her. I think it was her other half and a friend. They actually took our first fostered cat, and just one of them things, just amazing. Um, just good people I've met through YouTube, and Soberman has taught me to be very thankful. Thank you, Gamer, for being in here. Ian, again, for those that do not know, Mr. Gamer and BRFC, you are missing out. He's one of the finest people that I know, and he is one of the true gems of the Maverick Nation. Just sweet, sweet personality. I'm very grateful that he is one of us. Very grateful. Now I start talking to y'all about Hades. Yep, yep. Um, Now Hades is another one that um, I believe it was him and uh, Mike and Sean. The three of them were the ones. Thanks to them, we have sexy Saturdays, and so you all can thank. They were all in talking about that. Him and I think A&R. Between the four of them, between the four of them, they they came up with Sexy Saturday. So they were all in on it, and then every time we do it, they're like, "Oh my God," you know. And Hades is just a great guy. I know the day's going to come when I get to meet Hades in person. Just a sweet gentleman. Great sense of humor. I know when that day comes, we're gonna have a lot of laughs. What's going on? Getting ready to slowly end the live stream, honey. That's a what's it going on? You poking your head in, making sure I'm not getting into too much trouble, because you know I am. I do need to get ready to go take care of my blood sugar. It's a little low. It's getting a little low. I feel a little funky. Because I was making ornery jokes. I was making ornery jokes. Yeah, it's just a little low. No, Queen Bee was like, asking asking if I had taken care of my blood sugar lately. And I said, no, I'm going to after the live stream. And then I turned around and said, well, you know what I'm gonna and I said, you know what I'm gonna do? I want to do and I basically made it sound like I was gonna take all these sweets and just eat nothing but sugar. And she's like, I'm telling Princess Faye. That's what that's about. I was just gonna eat all the sugar. I was just gonna go in there, grab the bag of sugar out of the cabinet, and just start spooning it. That's what she was like. That's what she was talking about. Yeah. But any hoop de do. Are you guys ready for There's my wife's face palm right there. Oh God. Um, right, right. And you know what? Let me tell you something, Hades. A couple of people were kind enough to tell me that Sexy Saturday love to what? What? Some of us would. I've been saying that I'd want to meet. I'd love to meet a lot of us. Here in the chat. Yeah. Don't worry, honey. I'm not in getting into too much trouble. Anyhow. Yeah, yeah, most definitely. There's a lot of you. Okay, honey. Oh, okay. That'll work. But no, I'll tell y'all right now, there's Hades, I don't think I know a lot of all the credit. Yeah, you need to take some here because by about the third week of Sexy Saturdays, doing the Prince Dragnum lives, basically a couple people were kind enough to tell me that it helps them be themselves, that it gave them inspiration to be themselves. And there was actually one of them I actually kind of talked to in person. And I was like, wow, I love you, honey. I loves you. Wish you were home. Really wish you were home. But I loves you. Um, where was I? But any hoopty do. Um, um, basically, a couple people were kind enough to tell me, "Oh no, 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 you good." Um, but basically, um, the Sexy Saturdays helped a few people kind of come to terms with some stuff about themselves, helps them be themselves. So, Hades, you did a good thing, man. You did a real good thing. You actually helped somebody. You basically were part of that inspiration that now has helped some people be themselves, you know? And I don't think you need to take credit for that. You need to take credit for that, for what parts you played in that. So that's important. I mean, yeah, we're having fun and we're goofing off and everything like that, but it's deeper than that. It's important that you remember that, how many times you heard me say it, if you get something else out of this, if it helps you be yourself, great, but you don't need my permission for you to be you. If you're not hurting anybody, you do you, okay? If you're not hurting anybody or yourself, just be yourself. And, you know, at the beginning of the streams, just before Princess Faye puts the makeup on me, and you're part of that inspiration behind that. So don't sell yourself short, okay? Don't sell yourself short, man. It's important. All right. Wow. So many of you that have made, such an impact here on the Prince Magnum channel. You guys are important. You guys are amazing. You guys are very special in my life. Every one of you, you know. So, hands down, bar none, I am the luckiest content creator in the world. Or should I say blessed? One of the most blessed content creators in the world. You guys are the Maverick Nation. You guys are important. Very true. See, you know, and that's the thing, you know, you guys basically, exactly. You're the one who's got to be happy in your own skin. And that is something that I learned in sobriety. I remember sitting in a meeting, sober man just smiled from ear to ear. We had this crotchety old timer, and I genuinely look up to this old timer, but not near as much as I would, sober man. Basically, I admire him for what he does bring, but occasionally his crotchetiness kind of takes over. His cranky old timerness. He basically starts talking about, how, some people need to stay on the first step, their lives are unmanageable and stuff like that. And I'm listening to him. Finally, I said, I get the whole first step. When I got here, my life was unmanageable. I said, but after time, working through the steps and, just doing what we do in Alcoholics Anonymous, I've learned that I said, today life is still unmanageable, but I learned I don't have to manage life. I just got to live it. And that old man, he just kind of, all right, you got me. Made me rethink some things. And sober man just sits there and, that's my boy. Again, he's an amazing guy. Sober man really taught me a lot. And when I said that, a lot of newcomers just smiled. They said, I get it. I get it. You know, and that's the thing, that's things that sober man has taught me, is how to reach people with, stuff like that. He's taught me so much. And my ability to talk about Alcoholics Anonymous or to say positive things to people, I I will say again that I don't think sober man necessarily knows my higher power, but I believe my higher powers and sober man are definitely acquainted. Just like all of you. You all are acquainted definitely with my higher power. She talks through all of you all the time. Talks through all of you all the time. You know. So again, I do need to go take care of my blood sugar. I'm feeling like it's getting a little low, so I need to go take care of me before Queen Bee reaches through the phone and chokes the piss out of me. So that brings us to our usual spot. Again, thank you all for being here with me. You guys are truly amazing. I am the most blessed content creator in the world to have every last one of you out there in my life continuing to help me stay sober along with every member of Alcoholics Anonymous along with me. You guys truly are amazing. You guys are the Maverick Nation. That brings us to the spot where I know normally we do it a certain way, but here in Sober Talk, we do it a certain special way. Thank you, Hades. Don't forget, tomorrow, Fiesta Friday, Tacos del Pescado. I can't say it for some reason. I was saying it just fine earlier. Fish tacos. We're doing fish tacos tomorrow night. And I have been working diligently on that. Basically, this recipe is based on a recipe out of Baja, Mexico, near Ensenada. Fiesta Friday. And if we eat well enough, it'll turn into Siesta Friday after that. A fiesta into a siesta. Okay. So that brings us to our usual spot in Sober Talk. And that usual spot kind of goes like this. It is not the normal, get out there. No, this is where I need to remind you guys. This is where I get to remind you guys how important you are. That line is, at day's end, I hope all of you need me as much as I need you. Oh, wait, what? Oh, hold on. What's up, Queen? What's your question? What's your question? Ooh, that's a good question. The line, okay, the line that I say, um, you know, obviously God bless you. Well, number one, the whole telling everybody that you love them. You know, I love every last person in my life. You know, and that's kind of a given. If you're part of my life and you're a positive influence in my life, I need to love on you. You know, and the God bless you. That's that goes without saying. But then along with that, there's 24 hours in a day, and you know, okay. I thought I'd mention that in the last one, but no. There's 24 hours in a day, and everyone's kind of putting it in there. Um, and us alcoholics live 24 hours at a time. You know, um, we have to live 24 hours at a time a lot of the time. So that being said, if you will, living 24 hours at a time. So tell everyone to have a happy 24. That's what that's about. You know, it's kind of a special alcoholic way of saying have a good day, you know. But, us alcoholics, we have to live that next 24 hours, try to stay sober for that next 24 hours. So that's how we put it, you know. So when I tell you to have a happy 24, it's the alcoholic way of saying having a good day, you know. So, all right. So now I'm going to go ahead and do my special outro because I got to go take care of my blood sugar. It's getting a little bit lower than I like. So, as I started to say, at day's end, I hope all of you need me as much as I need you. And as always, for all of you out there, even in these dark, dark, dark times, if no one out there has told any of you that they love you today, Prince Magnum does. God bless you and have a happy 24. Thank you.